This trend is blowing up all over Etsy right now. And today I am not going to be gatekeeping anything from you about how to use this trend today in your Etsy shop. I'm talking about the doodle style hand-drawn designs that you have probably seen all over Etsy. Now, these designs caught my eye because they are so fun, full of personality, but what I also love about them is they are not perfect, which makes it a great design style for someone who's a graphic design beginner like me. So of course, when I saw these products blowing up all over Etsy, I knew I had to dig in. So I used my favorite research tool, Everbee, and the numbers for some of these products truly shocked me. When I dug into these designs, I was finding products that were less than a couple months old, making huge sales every month already. In today's video, I am going to be showing you how big this trend actually is right now on Etsy, what makes it work, and how to make your own very simple doodle style designs in Canva that you can put on a best-selling product. And today we are going to be focusing on one of my very favorite products right now, and it is the plate from DecoPlate through AnywherePOD. And if you missed my video from a few weeks ago, I am sharing 4 niches where these plates are making huge sales right now, and there is very little competition. Hey there, my name is Emily. I am a mom of 2 and a 6-figure Etsy seller who somehow went from being a full-time educator to now a full-time entrepreneur. A couple years ago, I started my own Etsy print-on-demand shop with 0 graphic design experience and 0 business experience, and I have now scaled it to a point where it is full-time income that supports my family. And if you love learning how to grow your Etsy shop with simple, giftable products that actually sell, make sure to hit subscribe or like below so you don't miss a single weekly video. Okay, so let's dig into this doodle hand-drawn style design because this has been on my radar for a while and I am just loving these products. Using Everbee, I was able to find some best-selling designs across a variety of products to show you today. These designs work really well for someone like me who doesn't have that graphic design experience because it doesn't have to feel so precise. So when we're talking about trends like this, one of the best things to do with trends is to combine them with something else that is also popular. So in today's example, we are going to be using the plate from DecoPlate and AnywherePOD because this product is starting to make its way up in the Etsy market. And if we can add a trend to it before other people do, then we could be the first one selling it and have a good share of the market. Now, I am loving these plates from AnywherePOD because they are super high quality. They are literally indestructible. You cannot break them. They can go in the dishwasher, they can go in the microwave, and they have a beautiful matte finish that makes them just come out so high quality. And I've gotten the best reviews from customers on these plates. All right, before we dive in to Canva, it's really important for us to know what dimensions we need to be designing in. So I'm over here on AnywherePOD and I have selected DecoPlate as my print supplier, my vendor, and you can see all the different products that they offer here. Now, for the purposes of today, we are going to be focusing on this plate here. And if you click on Start Designing, AnywherePOD, when we get to this point, is going to allow us to easily upload our artwork. But before we do that, we want to make sure that we have the correct design template that we are designing within. So right here, AnywherePOD and DecoPlate make it super easy. You can click on Design Templates, and it's going to bring you to a page here with all the different design templates and information that you need to know about designing with DecoPlate. So for the purposes of this, we are going to be using the design templates. And we are going to download that and we are going to take the plate one over into Canva where we are going to start our design. So DecoPlate makes this very easy to use. They give you this template, and so this will allow us to know what section of our design is going to show up in the right places, where we want it, and it will allow us to make sure that everything is properly sized before we take it over into AnywherePOD to add to a design. So here we can see that we have the plate template here, And what I am going to do is I'm going to simply add a page in Canva and add blank one here where I can add my own design. And at the end, I'm going to show you how I make sure all my design elements are in the right spot before we upload it. Okay, and then before I actually start putting text or images or anything on my design, what I want to do is to have my inspiration photos available to me so that I can have an idea of what is working in this space. Now, when I am really digging into these designs that are selling well, there's a few things that I am noticing. And one thing that can really help you when you are trying to design using trends, but you don't want to copy, right? We never want to copy. We never want to do what somebody else is doing, but we do want to take clues from what is working. So, a couple things that are standing out to me here. Number one, all the designs are monochromatic, meaning they have one color and one color only. So everything is in the same color. So that's something important that I want to note. The second thing I want to note is that they are using a variety of fonts, but for three of them, they're using a kind of handwritten script font. That is something that's important. The other thing that I'm noting is that a lot of the elements are not perfectly aligned, right? They are kind of more scattered, but they are done in a way that it looks nice and it looks finished. So we want to make sure as we are working on our design that as we are kind of scattering elements that it still kind of flows together. And the last thing that I am noting is that all of the graphics really have kind of an open hand drawn feel to them, meaning they are not colored in. They don't have a lot of color to them. It is more of an outline graphic, an outline element. So, as we start to look for our graphics within Canva, it is important for us to remember some of those things. Now, from here, I am going to add a page. So let's get started on our design. And as I mentioned, we are going to be focusing on the bridal shower niche. And so, what I am so excited for is that Canva has really been adding a ton of these doodle hand drawn graphics. Now, you can obviously get them other places, but Canva has a ton of free graphics available to us. Okay, now I have gone ahead and I have looked up wedding doodle. So we are doing bridal shower. Wedding is a really great keyword you can use as well. And I'm going to use the keyword doodle in Canva to see if it can help me get to some of these different desired graphics that I am looking for. And already I am seeing some really great options. I am absolutely loving these high heels that have the bows on them. If you recall looking up here, there were definitely bows. You can see in almost all four of these designs, there were bows involved in kind of messy bows. And so what I want to do right now is I just want to kind of add some graphics that feel like they might potentially be a good fit. I'm also really loving this car with the veil. I'm loving this hand with the drink here. So we are just going to add a few, and that is going to just help get us started here. And I want to look for any others that might be a good option. Let's see what else we can find. I'm really liking the rings here, and I like that these are wedding rings, and I love that they have kind of the unfinished font in there. So let's look for one more that we are going to add, and let's try. I'm really liking this piece of wedding cake here. It just gives it kind of has that feminine floral look to it. So right now we have these kind of scattered around. Now, as we know, the designs are going to be scattered, but in an intentional way. So for right now, I just kind of want to place them around until I have an idea of what this plate is going to look like. Now, we are going to start working on our text a little bit here. Now, it is important. So, we did some research in the hand drawn doodle style, but we also want to take a look at what is popular in bridal showers in terms of verbiage, in terms of themes, things like that. So, let's head over to Etsy and really quick, we're going to look at that. All right, so we can see here that these napkins have the names of the couples on them and the date that they're getting married. That might be a great option because this plate could be a keepsake for both the bride and groom. We are seeing welcome to the bride's bridal shower. We are seeing again some more welcome signs. You have just the bride's name and bridal shower. So we're seeing a lot of welcome to blank's bridal shower. So that seems to be a really common verbiage when we are talking about decor. Another one I'm seeing here is let's celebrate the bride to be. That might be a good variation for us. I am kind of feeling like I really want to make this a keepsake for the bride and groom. So let's go ahead and we are going to do the bride and groom or the wedding couple's names so that this is something that can be used well beyond the bridal shower. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to add where their names are going to go. Now, if we are looking for kind of a handwritten font, Canva does a great job. They have this option here for handwriting, and these are a lot of kind of these nice unfinished, really unpolished, handwritten type fonts. And I want to lean into the script font because as we know up here, a lot of these use kind of that script font. So I really love this Beth Ellen font. That is a great handwritten font. And let's see if we can find a couple others. Okay, so I have found a couple options. I am really between this homemade apple font that I absolutely love and also the Beth Ellen font. I think for this one, I'm actually liking the Beth Ellen more. And I want to do this at an angle because, again, this is not supposed to be kind of a perfectly designed plate or product because it is that hand drawn doodle effect. Now, the next thing I want to do is add a spot where I can put their wedding date. So I'm going to hit the T on my keyboard, which is going to add a text box. And I am going to add, let's say, June 25th, 2025. Right now, we're just going to add a placeholder date. And for this one, I want to do a font that's a bit different. I don't want to overdo this Beth Ellen font. So I'm going to look for something that is a little bit more of a regular font, not a script font, and see if I can find something that kind of goes with this. Now, I am really liking this because it has, again, kind of that uneven look to it. I like this cupcakes font. Let's go with the cupcakes font, and I am going to bring the spacing in a little bit. So you can see here, I'm going to click on advanced settings and I'm going to bring the spacing in just some because it is really spaced out with this font naturally. And I'm also going to make sure it is all caps so that it is kind of really even in how it comes out. Okay, so we have our font here. We have Amy and Adam. We have the date that they can customize. And now we want to make sure that we can put our design graphics where we want them. So right now, like I said, I'm going to just kind of turn these a bit. Let's bring them in some. I'm also going to just, again, kind of give them a little bit of an angle so they don't feel so perfect. This one I'm going to bring in just a smidge here. Okay, so I am really loving this. I think this is turning out super, super cute. Now, one thing that I feel like is missing is maybe a bow at the top. As we can see on this ornament up here, there's this really cute bow that kind of tied the design together. And I feel like we might just be missing a little bit of something at the top. And I'm going to move these up a little bit. So we're going to look for a messy bow. And let's see if we can find something kind of like this one that kind of matches. So, one thing you want to be careful about when you're designing for kind of this hand drawn design is that the weight of your outline matches one another. And that can be a bit challenging sometimes because Sometimes some designs have a really thick outline and some have a really thin outline. And so that is something that you want to be cautious of. But I feel like this maybe isn't taking up as much space. One thing I love about Canva are these magic recommendations. So I'm going to click there. And I do like this one that comes all the way down. So I'm going to delete this one and let's try this one here. And if this one doesn't work, we will try a different one. So let's see how this looks. This one might be too big, but let's do some playing around with it. I am going to right click on it and I am going to send it to the back so that I can play around with the other elements here. And let's see if by making these smaller, they become too small. Okay, so I did some moving around and I moved the car down so that one could be bigger and move the rings up here. And I am actually really loving this. So I think we're going to stick with this. The last thing that I noticed too in some of these other designs is they had some smaller elements that kind of help fill the space. So you can see here in this tapestry, they have some stars and a heart. In this other platter, they have some stars and hearts. And so I feel like I might just need a few to kind of finish off this design. So we are going to do, let's try hand-drawn stars. I've typed in hand-drawn stars and they have some really cute options in here. I'm actually kind of liking this heart star mix just because this would be for a bridal shower or an engagement. And let's try this. And I am going to make this in black for right now. And you can kind of just add these around. And you can tell that even just a couple is going to add a little bit of that accent that we're looking for that really fills the space. So we want to make sure that our design falls within the margins of the template. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to copy the outline of this template and I'm going to place it on top of my design. Then I am going to come up to transparency. And I want to lower the transparency and make sure that my design falls within the circle of the plate. And overall, I'm feeling very good about this. And this is going to be a perfect way for us to tell. And you can always, make it darker if you need to. And you can see our bow just touches the white part here. And I'm just going to make this a smidge smaller. And let's see what that looks like. Okay. I'm feeling good about that. That looks really good. So now our design is ready to be placed into AnywherePOD. Before I show you what our design looks like on a plate with AnywherePOD, it's time for this week's coffee and cha-chings. Now, when we are designing a style like this with these different graphics that we are putting together, one of the most common questions I get is, how do I make sure it looks like they all belong together? And this is a great question, and it is something I have struggled with for a long time. So I want to show you 2 quick hacks that you can use in your designing that will help you find similar graphics. The first one is going to be on Canva. You will be able to right click on a graphic, and if it is available, you can actually see the collection of elements from that designer. And what that means is that you can actually pull graphics from the same designer for the same collection, and it will ensure that they all belong together. So that is one of my favorites. The second hack that I have is, let's say you have 2 graphics. One is a little bit thinner in the outline than the other. You could actually edit that. So you can go up to edit and add your shadows and outlines. And when you go to an outline, you can actually make that outline thicker or thinner until it gets to the point where you feel like they match together. So these are 2 quick ways that I am able to use and my students as well on a daily basis to be able to make sure that your graphics look cohesive. And that's this week's coffee and cha-chings. Don't forget to add your questions below so I can answer them in an upcoming video. So I have my design here. Now, one of the perks of using AnywherePOD is that you can actually do all your personalization directly through them, and it makes it so easy. So for the purposes of setting up our design in AnywherePOD, I'm actually going to take the text off, and we are going to head over here to AnywherePOD. where I have actually uploaded my design. And now I want to add my personalized text fields really fast. So I'm going to add a multi-line text where I can have them customize their name. Now, there are some limitations on the fonts that you can use in AnywherePOD. So you can also purchase fonts and use them. You can download fonts from, somewhere like Creative Fabrica. And I'm going to add their names here. And you can set this up like if you want to make sure it doesn't come out any further than these graphics. You can also make sure it's central. And I'm going to click personalized. And then the next thing I want to do is add a text field for the date. So I'm going to add that here, and I am going to, again, find a font. I had used a Cupcakes font, and I am going to use that and make sure that I hit personalized here as well. So that is going to mean whenever I get an order here, it is going to bring in the personalization from the customer in Etsy. Now, I want to make sure I have these in an order that makes sense so that when they submit their personalization, it comes through. And I would like to add, if you haven't seen my video about how I personalize products through AnywherePOD in minutes, please feel free to watch that in the show notes below. So then I'm going to update my product, and this is going to put my design directly on to the mockups that I want to use. Okay, so you can see my mockups here in AnywherePOD have generated, and you can see what our design is looking like directly on a deco plate mockup. And they actually have some very good mockups, high quality ones to use. Now, for this case, we are going to be sticking with the black monochromatic just because that is very wedding like, it's neutral, and again, that falls in line with the trend that we found. Now, from here, you would follow all of your regular listing instructions with your title, your description, your tags, all of the above. And AnywherePOD is going to make it super easy when you get an order for this to be able to customize this for each order without taking tons of extra time. But I am absolutely loving these plates, and I am loving this design that we came up with today in just a matter of minutes. This doodle trend is so much fun, and I think people are just craving nostalgia. They're craving personality. They're craving fun and cozy designs that they can use for those special, meaningful moments in their life. And when you're able to combine that really playful trend with a product that is selling big, like the plates from Deco Plate and AnywherePOD, you are sitting on a gold mine. If you have been waiting to test a new design or test a new product in your Etsy print on demand shop, this is your sign that now is the time. These plates and this hand-drawn doodle design are super giftable, very simple, and very beginner friendly. So I hope today's video gave you inspiration to try something new in your shop today. And as always, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to hit like or subscribe below so you don't miss a video helping you launch, grow, and scale your own Etsy print on demand shop. And as always, I look forward to seeing you next week.